So we've concluded our 100-point race Derby preps, and the field is pretty much set at this point, save for the Lexington coming up next week. So what I've done with the top 20 list this week is take into account what the field looks like right now if the race was run tomorrow. So this top 20 includes horses that are slated to run in the race. Now, we know there's going to be a lot of defections and whatnot, but we just want to get a feel for what this field looks like, this top 20, based on horses all that are going to run in the Derby ostensibly right now. So we look at our 16 through 20, and we'll go through them 5 at a time, and we'll see Deterministic has taken a drop. And the reason being is obviously that Wood Memorial was a big disappointment, flattened out, really didn't do a whole lot of running. So he is still in the field because he did win the Gotham, but he has to drop in the list after that. But he has the talent to rebound, and Christophe Clement, he hasn't had a lot of luck this year with horses he's been training for the Derby. As far as getting them to run 2 consecutive good races in a row or rebound off of disappointing efforts. So, but he's certainly capable of doing it, and this one has the talent. So I'm not ready to throw out Deterministic yet. He just needs to rebound, and I think he can. Number 20 is Tio Password. That's the Japanese import. Like many of you, I really don't know very much about this horse. We obviously know which Japanese horse we really want to concentrate on, who looks the most promising. But Tio Password is going to run in the race. And as I haven't heard much about him, I'll assume that he's kind of marginal, as usually the lesser Japanese horses have been. But you never know. I mean, it's they're getting better every year. So, but he's 20 for now. West Saratoga has shown some improved, some good efforts at times, but they're never good enough. And that's really the issue with him more than anything. He is in the Derby, so we have to take him seriously. He's got plenty of points, but I don't really like his chances. But he's in the race, so somebody has to be 19, so it's West Saratoga. And No More Time, I think, is a good horse. And, you know, this is one that's kind of a wild card. He has the pedigree to go 2 turns. He's proven that he can do it. I'm just not sure he's beaten a lot of quality or been competitive in really good fields. So he will definitely have to step it up. But I think there's some potential here. And this is one that you kind of think about maybe for the underneath of the superfecta. Under the right circumstances, and he does run up near the lead, and as we've mentioned ad nauseum, not a lot of early pace this year, so No More Time. I'm still keeping my eye on him. I think there's something there. Loved Catalytic's race in the Florida Derby. I just thought that was an outstanding effort. First time around 2 turns, first graded stakes race. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better effort, and if fierceness wasn't there, he wins that race by 3 lengths. There is definitely some talent here. I don't know that he can rebound and take another step forward in a 20-horse field, but it's exciting to think about the prospects. We'll see how he does training-wise heading into the Derby. So that's our bottom 5 of horses that are slated to run, have the points to qualify for the Derby. So we look at 11 through 15, and Society Man is a new shooter here. He ran huge in the Wood. He really did. I thought he ran an incredibly improved effort. And it is an intriguing prospect of thinking about a long shot in this field. And he would break his maiden if he won the Derby, I believe. I'm not sure about that. But he's definitely running closer to the pace, which shows improvement. He certainly took a step forward. So he's one that another one to keep your eye on. He certainly can get the distance, so he's interesting. Mystic Dan is in the race. I'm just not expecting much out of him in the Derby. I just can't see it. But being by Golden Sense, he flattened out in the Arkansas Derby. Really didn't run. He ran an okay race, but it wasn't going to be good enough. And I think he's got a lot of strikes against him. So Mystic Dan, to me, is a paper tiger. Timberlake has ability. There's no doubt about it. I just don't think he wants 2 turns. That Arkansas Derby really exposed him, I think, for quite a bit. He likes to He's awful keen. He gets aggressive early on, and being a little questionable around 2 turns now, you do have to wonder if he's going to burn himself out early, being up near the pace. So Timberlake doesn't change where he was from last week, but he doesn't look not nearly as promising a prospect as he was prior. Trap Phantom does what he does. He's going to run around the track. He's going to try to do it from the front end. I think with fierceness there and Forever Young, that is going to be an extremely tall order. But this one, I think he can get the distance. I just don't think I think he's just a cut below. Resilience ran a really nice Wood Memorial. That was what I really liked more than anything was he took command of the race at the top of the stretch and had a sustained drive all the way down. He's certainly improving. I think he's this year's variety of Rocket Can, a horse who's just getting better steadily. He certainly has talent. His back class shows he can hang with the big boys. We'll just have to wonder if he can take another step forward to factor in the race. But he's an interesting horse, and certainly one I want to keep my eye on. So now we get to our top 10, and we'll see Just a Touch is back on the list. That was just a great Bluegrass Stakes. I really love that race. He was up near pretty quick fractions early and took command, and but for Sierra Leone being what he is, Just a Touch wins that race. That was an excellent effort for a horse who's his first time around 2 turns, so he's very exciting to think about what might happen if he can take a move forward in the Derby. Dornoch, I didn't like the Bluegrass at all. I had a feeling that was going to be the case to a degree. He's just too green, and he just doesn't seem to be getting it. He has talent. There's no doubt about it. I just don't think they can rate him, so he's going to have to go to the front, and if he does, he's got fierceness to deal with. That's still a question mark for sure. But it just, the fact that I've said it a million times, but Danny Gargan saying he waits for horses, I think that was really exposed in the Bluegrass, because he could have made a move coming into the final turn, and he could have taken command of that race because he had the jump on the later runners, and he just didn't do it. So I thought that was a major league disappointment for Dornoch. Just Steel ran a nice Arkansas Derby. He's going to get some rest, and we'll see what that breeds. This horse isn't bad. He's got some good talent. I've liked the way he's learned to manage his speed better, and provided he can get a decent post. I mean, he's going to be a little questionable being by Justified 1.25 miles, but he's another one who's kind of intriguing. He's got some positives. He's got some negatives. And I think he's one that you have to think about for the bottom of the exotics, and he runs every time. And what I like about that is you can tell this is a horse who has the grit and wants to compete. So there's some good things to think about there. Stronghold won the Santa Anita Derby, faced a better field. Wouldn't say it was a great one, but a better one. And he dueled down the stretch with imagination. And I thought he ran a good race, and he's been running consistently well. We just wondered about the comp level, and he finally faced a pretty good field, and I thought he acquitted himself well. So Stronghold, another one. We'll see how he does when we deeper dive, but he's certainly one to consider, and he definitely moves up the list after that last effort. Domestic Product, he's a little questionable as far as competition goes. Those Tampa races just don't know about. The Tampa Derby in particular was just such a strangely run race. But this one appears to be getting better with Chad Brown in his corner. You have every reason to expect he can move forward. Just not sure what he can do against real grade 1 quality. But Domestic Product is another one that's very interesting, and we'll see how he does. Our top 5 is not going to change from last week. Anna Marie, I think this one is poised third off the layoff. I think is going to run a really big Derby, and I'm very excited to see how Anna Marie trains up to it. Catching Freedom appears to have solved some of the maturity issues for now, and looked awful good and in the Louisiana Derby, and I'm expecting another good race out of him. Sierra Leone was awesome in the Bluegrass. That was a terrific race. Let's keep in mind, though, he did have pace to run to, but he did take a little kickback and was able to handle it. Showed a little bit of athleticism, which we hadn't seen since his maiden race. I think the Risen Star personally was a better race because he had to close into soft fractions. But you can't. I mean, he's just doing everything right. And now he's coming into third off the layoff for Chad Brown in the Derby. I'm expecting a monster race out of him. We'll just see if it's good enough. Fierceness, it's all about which one shows up, and it's all about the post position and the break. If he can get away unencumbered, look out. But that's a big ask in the Derby. And, he's just still so schizophrenic. It's really hard to get overly excited about him. But clearly, if he runs his race, he's going to be awful hard to beat. Forever Young, I really like. I just was very impressed by that UAE Derby, going wide all the way around the track, a speed favoring track, a horse on the rail who had a good sizable lead, and he just wore him right down. This is a good horse. He brings it every time, and I really like Forever Young a lot. I like him a hell of a lot better than I did Durham or Sotogaki last year. I think this one's demonstrated that he's for real. So we look at our list. One of the things I've done is I've added 5 spots, and these I would consider, if they can get in through scratches or whatnot, defections, injuries, God willing, we won't have any, but if we do, these are the 5 at the bottom who I think have the points, would likely draw in, and I think of them, Liberal Arts to me is the most intriguing. I think he's better than he showed in the Arkansas Derby, and he had a lot of trouble in that race, and I think he is one that is moving forward. Again, he's coming in third off the layoff. He's another closer. We got a lot of them in this race, in this field, but Liberal Arts is not one that we want to overlook. Encino, let's see what he does in the Lexington, but I think this one's headed in the right direction. I actually think it's a positive in some respects that Brad Cox sent him to the Lexington because he has a better shot to get the points. I think that was the reason for the move. You'd have to like him a lot in that race, and we'll see what happens. Endlessly, what I've been hearing is that his owners are starting to get Derby fever, so he just may try to run. This is a really nice horse. Just don't know about dirt. That's really the only question, but he's got the grit. He brings it every time. And it's very intriguing to think, particularly if we get weather on Derby Day and it gets muddy, upgrade Endlessly big time if he draws into the field. Grandmo the First, I don't think he's good enough, but he does have the points to get into the race. I believe he would be one that would draw in. And, his Florida Derby, he ran a good race. He was gritty, and he tried really hard, but that field just wasn't very good. So I think this would be a major step up, and I think he'd probably get outclassed should he draw into this field. Common Defense has put together a couple of good efforts in a row. He wasn't bad in the Rebel, and he wasn't bad in the Arkansas Derby. I just don't know if he's him being up on the front end or rating like he's tried to do in the last couple. I think he's just going to get eaten alive by the front runners in here, most notably Forever Young, Fierceness, and Just a Touch. I don't think he's in their league. So he has the points to get in, and he may still be in this field. We'll see. But this is the field I think we've got right now, and we'll see if it takes. We can get through next month. We'll see what Encino does in the Lexington. But what I look at now at the field we're looking at, in particular, those middle horses. Let's say from like 16 to 6, that middle 10 there is very interesting. There's a lot of horses with are intriguing because they've got positives and they've got negatives. We know what we're going to get out of our top 5. I don't think we worry about that. So we'll see how the training goes. But it looks to me it's looking like a much better field than I had initially anticipated. We still don't really know about this class. It seems a little on the top-heavy side, but it's an interesting field, and let's see what happens.